Pleased to welcome you to our very first episode of 5020 podcast.
In KEZAD, where we are today, it was very competitive.
What is the secret?
How it tastes and how it feels in the mouth.
Switch Food, how did it all begin?
The biggest challenge for meat companies or meat producers is to reduce the price.
What is in your product that makes it healthy?
It's a very fast-paced lifestyle, so you need convenience.
That's what people are looking for.
Every minute that you're stopped is costing you money.
5020 podcast.
Assalamu alaikum. Hello everyone. My name is Khalid. I'm pleased to welcome you to our very first episode of 5020 podcast. In our first episode, we are pleased to welcome our very first guest, Edward Hamod, founder and CEO of Switch Foods. Edward, welcome to 5020 podcast, and thank you for taking your time to joining us.
Thank you, Khalid, for inviting me to be on the 5020 podcast. Excited about having a nice conversation.
So, Edward, in a short period of time, you managed to create Switch Food that has captured the market and has caused a buzz, not just locally, but internationally. What is the secret?
So the secret is actually, Khalid, when we decided to embark on this journey, we tried to understand what were the barriers for plant-based meat alternatives becoming more adoptable, not only in the region, but globally, but of course by focusing on this region. And we started our journey by learning what our predecessors did in terms of product quality. And when I talk about quality, I talk about taste, I talk about texture, but also about health, also about nutrition. And we took what was then the benchmark in the market and we tried to build on it rather than reinvent the wheel. And we always benchmark ourselves versus conventional meat and not what was there on the market. So our ambition was to always create a product that is not better than what's out there in the market, that is a great product, right? This was our mindset from day one. And we benchmarked against the best kinds of meat. And we had what we call at Switch the four T's, 4 touch points. One is how the product looks in terms of color and shape. Second is how it cooks. So it needs to provide a seamless transition from conventional meat. It needs to cook exactly the same as conventional meat. Third is the way it smells, so that there's nothing that's putting the consumer off. And fourth, which is only the last one, which is what people think is where it starts, actually where it finishes, is how it tastes and how it feels in the mouth. This was always our objective, and we worked tirelessly. Yes, it's a short period of time, but in these, if you count the amount of hours that we put in this short period of time, it's we condensed 3 years into a year and a couple of months. And we had all the team focused on creating a great product. Then once you have a great product, everything becomes much, much easier.
So, Edward, on a personal note, your product is one of the products we use quite a bit in our household. It's diversified the meat products that we use all the time, and I'm sure since the inception of Switch Food, a lot of families are trying to use your product as an alternative to a healthier lifestyle. Tell our audience more about Switch Food. How did it all begin?
So, first of all, thank you very much for being a customer and a loyal customer. And I'm always humbled and flattered when I hear, friends, family, new people I meet that are using Switch. It's just, it's been a big part of our journey. Consumer feedback, customer feedback, hearing good comments about the product. It's really comforting and humbling at the same time. So family, it's what you said is just very important for me, because as I said in the beginning, I've been in the food system since 2005, almost 20 years. But I always looked at my job as a business. So I was looking always at the companies that I run from a P&L perspective, profit and loss, how much we made, what's our top line, what's our bottom line. And through an unfortunate health-related family event that ended up being the result of the food we were consuming, or some of the food my kids were consuming, I understood the impact of what I do on human life. So today we live in a world where a lot of people have a lot of doubts about what they consume, right? Even the most natural products, meat, dairy, fruits, vegetables, is highly processed today in order to make it bigger, cheaper, more available, cross-seasonal, all of that. So a lot of what we eat today, even if in its natural form, is modified to become more commercially competitive. Let's put it that way. So because of these unfortunate events, I decided to dig deeper into what we eat as a family. What are my kids eating? Not only outside, but at home as well. So we tend to think, that we're buying more expensive product, more organic products. We're buying from the high-end supermarkets. But at the end of the day, it's all a game. There's a lot of, manipulation driven by the food industry, the big players, right? Today, nobody reads the label. But if consumers read the label of what they're eating, half of the stuff you bring into your household, you wouldn't probably be eating anymore, right? And still, there's a lot to be done on labeling. Right, we still, the food lobby is very strong, so they're able to hide a lot of things that they put on the label. Anyways, so that led me to decide to actually have a bigger purpose and a bigger impact in what I do in the food business. And reading and listening and discussing with a lot of people from different backgrounds, whether it was sustainability, whether it was health, whether it was nutrition, led me to understand that the overarching element is people need to adopt more plant-based products into their diets. Today, we don't say that meat is bad for you. We don't say that, but today we have a problem with overconsumption of meat, whether white meat or red meat, right? And that is leading to major diseases, including cardiovascular disease, diabetes type 2, cancers, blood disease. Today when you go to your doctor, most of the time they tell you reduce your meat intake, you reduce your meat consumption for different reasons. So the idea of switch, or the idea of creating a company in the food sector that has bigger impact and bigger purpose than just making a profit, was the real push for creating Switch Foods. So what we do at Switch Foods is we try to create products that will give clients a solution or a tool to reduce their meat intake. So we don't interfere in their way of life or lifestyle. We don't pitch, or we don't push for people to become vegans or vegetarians. That's not our purpose at all. My purpose is for you, Khalid, today, if you decide, okay, I don't want to consume meat today, right? I want to reduce meat from 6 days a week to 3 days a week. I want to reduce meat from 5 days a week to 2 days a week, right? Do I have products that are savory, that I can enjoy with my family, that I can feed my kids? Or do I have to eat traditional beans or pulses or whatever, which is a real turnoff for people who want to reduce their meat intake? A lot of people that I meet today on my journey, they're like, man, I wish Switch existed 5 years ago. I was vegan for a year, but then I couldn't handle it anymore because food was bad. I didn't have products. Or I was vegetarian. A lot of people tell me, Ed, today we're veggie, we're non-meat for 2 days a week, and we use Switch on one of them, which is good enough for us, right? It's providing that good product that people can savor a good burger or a good kebab or a bolognese or a lasagna with alternative meat that doesn't have, let's say, that has a taste and nutrition of meat, but not the harm of overusing meat.
I think you nailed it. I think that's what people are looking for, and having that alternative or complementary to everyone's diet is a very important part of everyone's lifestyle, especially on the busy lifestyle as everyone is have at the moment.
So that's another point that we also look at very closely at Switch. So today, in the lifestyle that we live in, all of us, it's a very fast-paced lifestyle. So you need convenience, right? So our products at Switch cook directly from frozen. You don't need to defrost it. You don't need to thaw it for hours. You can take a kebab, you know, a mother whose children came back home from school hungry, she can take a kebab from the freezer directly, put it on a pan, a little bit of oil or not, depends on how she cooks, exactly like meat. 5-6 minutes, it's ready, puts it in a piece of bread with some vegetables or some hummus, and here you have a kebab sandwich or a kefta sandwich. You need a burger, you take it out of the freezer, you put it directly on the stove, it's ready in 7 to 8 minutes. So convenience is very important. The other thing that we looked at is today, with society advancing, right, with people having more disposable income, people having access to technology, what do people look for the most? Wellness and longevity,
Exactly.
right? So they're looking to live a better quality life for longer, right? So they are, and whenever you go, however you go about wellness, health, and longevity, your food intake is a big part of it. You cannot deny it. Yes, you have to exercise. Yes, you have to create some work-life balance. Yes, you have to take some days off. But if you do all of the above without taking care of what you eat, it's not going to do you any good. And again, a lot of people think that we are preaching vegetarianism or veganism. We're not at all. I'm not vegan nor vegetarian.
You're preaching a healthier lifestyle.
I'm preaching a healthier lifestyle for me and for my kids, right? That's the most important thing. So I went from eating meat 6 days a week, like most of us in this region, to eating meat maybe today twice a month, when it's a nice, you know, piece of filet or piece of steak that I crave, that is a whole cut, not in the form of mince, so I know exactly what's in it. I try to understand where it's coming from, to understand how much, you know, hormones or antibiotics are in it, because the quality of meat is very important. Remember, today the biggest challenge for meat companies or meat producers is to reduce the price so that they increase consumption. So what do we know? So how much do we know about what goes into processing this meat to make it cheaper and more available for everyone? So we have to ask ourselves this question, and I love when I see that the younger generation is very, very aware about the health problems with meat, very aware about the sustainability, or what does the production of beef, what are the effects of this big production of beef on the planet. And the third is how we deal with animals and factory farming in terms of ethics, in terms of the numbers of animals, how we raise them and how we kill them.
So Edward, you touched based on how healthy your product is. What is in your product that makes it healthy?
So the product is very simple, and you can read it in the label. It's just that the recipe and the formula that we use, that is proprietary to us, and the process of how we create this product, that is also proprietary to Switch, is what makes it good. But if we talk about ingredients, I mean, we pride ourselves in having a very short list of ingredients. So our base is pea protein. Most plant-based meat alternatives on the market use soy. which we don't for strategic reason or by design, because soy is one of the top global allergens, and a lot of people try to stay away from soy. So we use pea protein. Pea protein is a clean amino acid, has a clean amino acid profile that is very close to the amino acid profile of meat. We then add, so that's on the protein side. We then add fat to it, obviously, to make it juicy and to have that flavor. But we use coconut fat and we use sunflower oil fat. So two healthy plant-derived fats. We then use whole foods. So we buy from local farms the parsley, the tomato, the onions that we mix in our products. We then add the fibers again from the peas to make it easily digestible. And then we use only natural plant-based extract flavors and colors. So for example, we use beetroot powder for the red color, carob for the brown color. There's a science behind it on how it cooks. This is how we the product goes from being, you know, it's in a red or pinkish in its raw form to brownish metallic in its cooked form. So the list of ingredients is very simple. It's very short. We use only natural products, 100% natural products, plant-based products in our products. So we don't have natural identical. We don't have any synthetics. We know that our amino acid profile lacks on iron and B12 vitamins when compared to meat, but it's a strategic decision that we took to not enrich or reinforce our products with any iron or B12, because we will be adding synthetics into the products, which we didn't want to do at all. Obviously, our products are non-GMO certified, so our sources of protein and legumes is all non-GMO. It's allergen free, all allergen. It's gluten free. It's dairy free. It's obviously free of hormones and antibiotics, which we find in conventional meat product, which is a big issue globally. And it's got a third of the fat that's you know, when compared to conventional meat product, it has the third of the fat of meat with zero cholesterol.
So how much of your ingredients do you source locally?
We try to source as much as we can. As I said, we work with local farms on sourcing all the whole foods, but there are components that we don't have locally, because obviously we don't necessarily grow peas in this region, so we don't have the proteins. But we're working with government bodies such as, you know, ADAFSA to create a fully circular food security ecosystem. So once we grow the business and we grow the offtake, the idea is to use capabilities that are available at authorities like ADAFSA to grow these peas locally in Abu Dhabi and use them as our protein base. So as we grow as a company, it will make more and more sense to invest in sourcing more of our raw ingredients locally.
Today, you're focusing on providing alternative to meat or meat products. Is there any plans to source it, have something alternative to maybe chicken, fish in the future?
Absolutely. So in October, we will be launching our new chicken line.
Amazing.
It's a breaded chicken line. It took us a while to develop it, because we wanted to maintain the health proposition of our products. And with breaded chicken, we want it to be gluten-free, allergen-free, with a pea protein profile. We wanted to maintain a low level of fat, high protein. So we wanted to create healthy breaded chicken. You know, we wanted to take a product that is viewed as being very unhealthy, fried chicken, and make it very healthy, right? So a product that you can cook in the air fryer, you can cook in the oven, and you can deep fry as you want. So we will be launching our chicken tenders, plant-based chicken tenders, chicken nuggets for kids. So today, you know, most chicken nuggets have very little chicken in them. So this way you can give your kids a healthier option that is still yet very tasty. Chicken burgers, and the surprise will be an amazing chicken shawarma in the form of filet. Fish, no, we don't have it in our plans. We will continue to grow mostly in the meat and chicken areas, and God knows how the company will evolve. We're just a year and a couple of months old, so we have strong investors behind us. We have strong advisors. We monitor the market very closely, and we will see what makes sense.
Where can we find your products? I mean, other than the supermarkets, can we see your products in any other form?
Yeah, absolutely. So we have an amazing coverage in the UAE. We're available in all major retailers. So Spinneys, Carrefour, Waitrose, Grandiose, Géant, Almaya. And you can find us online on Talabat, Kareem, Click Cuisine, InstaShop. In Abu Dhabi, we're in Abu Dhabi Co-op as well. Union Co-op in Dubai. So we have a very good coverage in the UAE. We're also in three other different regional markets. So we're in Lebanon, across Spinneys as well, and online. We're in Kuwait, we're in Qatar. We're looking to expand to Saudi and to Egypt very soon. Bahrain is also on the map. We have ambitions to go beyond the region as well, which we're working on very strongly. And you can find us in a lot of restaurants, actually, which is a very, very something that we're very proud of, because to have a chef from a leading restaurant or from a top restaurant use your product on their menu, it means they have to be convinced that it's a good product. Otherwise, they will never put it on their menu. So we are in Al Safadi, Arabic food. We are in Pole Cafe. So they use our burger, our spaghetti, our meatballs. We are in Pizza Express. They have a vegan sujuk pizza with the switch sujuk. We are at Burger Fuel. We are in a lot of, Alien Burger, Gorilla Burger, Naughty Vegan. A lot of restaurants, both online and in store, where you can find our products. And you can follow us on Instagram at switch_foods. We clearly show where you can find our products.
So this is a made in the UAE product, 100%. How is that made in UAE stamp helped you to market this outside of the UAE?
It helps a lot, actually. You'll be surprised. Today, everything that is made in the UAE, not only our product, you can ask other producers or manufacturers, gives the product much more credibility. Consumers regionally and even globally, to my surprise, appreciate when the product is made in the UAE. They see a certain quality standard associated to being made in the UAE. They know that there's no Mickey Mousing around the regulation and controls, which is amazing for us producers. It's added value. We don't have to explain or to put extra efforts in explaining our quality controls, our ingredients, and all of that. So it helps us get through a lot of the red tape. When I started this project, I only moved to the UAE because of unfortunate events in my country, and it was one of the best choices I've made in my life, for me and my family. If you ask me today, any day, if there was, and I've lived in the US, I lived in Syria, I lived in Lebanon, I lived in France, I lived for a long number of years, and I can still go there and live there. It's not that I came to the UAE because it was my only option, but it was one of the best choices I've made in my life, for me and my family. And in terms of business, Yes, it's a challenging and it's a competitive environment, but it's a very positive and nourishing environment. So when we decided to do this project, my investors were like, are you sure? Is the UAE the right place? It's not a big market. There are maybe other regional markets that are bigger, that are cheaper to set up a manufacturing facility in, where regulation is a bit easier. But we chose the UAE for different reasons. One of them, again, that made in the UAE stamp gives you credibility vis-a-vis consumers, locally, regionally, and globally. Number two, the proposition of being in KEZAD, where we are today, was very competitive. Not only competitive financially in terms of price of land or price of lease, but in terms of services, right? In terms of support. So in our journey, like in every journey, every industrial journey, a lot of things go wrong. Things get delayed, things get broken, but the willingness of people to react and to support you when you, as an industrialist, every minute that you're stopped is costing you money. And no matter where you are in the world, things are going to go wrong. But the willingness of people to support you and to get through these hurdles and to fix these issues quickly and swiftly, and without twisting your arm or charging you an arm of a leg, are these intangibles that investors don't always see when they are going for their projects. So this was my experience. So we chose the UAE. Then we looked within the different ecosystems or industrial zones, whether a free zone or inland, and then we chose to be inland, obviously, because a big market of ours is the UAE. Then we looked at which industrial area or economic zone gave us these facilitation, and there were many, to be honest, across the many Emirates, and we chose KEZAD because of its unique selling proposition. So the quality of the built, the price, the services, the availability of electricity, because we need electricity in industry, the availability of water, the accessibility, its strategic location being in the middle of the country, so the coverage that we get, and the possibility of expansion, and the idea that it was an ecosystem that provided also support in conjunction with the rest of the Abu Dhabi industrial ecosystem, so DED, ADIO, all these ADGM, all these other functional areas within Abu Dhabi that can be complementary to what we do as a business.
So you took one of KEZAD's pre-built facilities and you converted it into a factory. Tell us more about your experience, and from January, which I remember giving you the keys, and I think within no time, 6-7 months, you were doing a launch with all the delegations coming to your factory.
Yeah, less than that, like about 3.5 months.
Exactly.
Yeah, so again, when we were first studying the project, and when we first deciding where to go, we explored many economic zones, many industrial zones, and KEZAD at the time made the most sense. And we felt so at the end of the day, KEZAD, like JAFZA, like DIP, they're big organizations, big institutions, where you actually can only know one or two people, right? So it doesn't matter to me as an investor who the CEO of KEZAD is, or Abu Dhabi. I'm never gonna, my relationship is not with them. There's one face to me at KEZAD, like at a bank, like at an insurance company. That person can make or break this relationship, right? If that person was only talking to me dollars and dirhams and cents and times and clauses, and I was gonna be scared, because there's a lot that you can put in a contract, in a fine print, that investors would never know about. But having this good rapport, right, this good energy around, listen, we're KEZAD, we want to help you. How can we help you, right? Was detrimental for me as Edward. This was the first step. So I decided, okay, these people are credible. I'm gonna work with them in full confidence and transparency. And throughout the relationship, we had a lot of many, let's say, difficult conversations. The project was a bit delayed. Things didn't go according to plan 100%, but we were all able to overcome them by having a conversation. And at the end of the day, KEZAD, in my experience, was able to cover for any, let's say, losses or damages or delays that we as Switch Foods occurred because of unfortunate events that were also out of their control completely, but still contractually we had an agreement. When it didn't happen or it was delayed a little bit, they took responsibility for it and covered it. Let's put it that way, which actually, me as an investor, if I'm looking at reinvesting, which we will hopefully do in the future, helps me a lot. And my investors see that, okay, look, the first experience that we had with KEZAD was an amazing one. Why should we consider anywhere else?
You mentioned that you had challenges at the start and you were able to overcome them. Today, what is your challenges that you're looking at and how are you overcoming them?
So yeah, every project has many challenges in its different stages, right? At the beginning, the biggest challenge was to get to a product and then to choose the right equipment to modify them. We are a very novel industry that is, built around tech. So you can't just go buy a turnkey product. We source different equipment from different manufacturers, then obviously building the facilities, what goes into construction, all of that. And then once you hit the market, is the real challenges begin. I think today what we face here specifically in this region was the lack of, let's say, awareness and education from the consumer vis-a-vis the benefits of increasing plant-based elements into their diets, especially when compared to more mature countries like, the US or the UK or Europe in general. And we see that in statistics. Our plant-based meat consumption per capita in the region is around 80 grams per capita per year when compared to 2 kilos in the US or in the UK. So we have a big challenge, yet it's a big opportunity. What we find is that today consumers of our products are still mostly Europeans. So the British, the French, the Dutch, the Germans, the Spanish, who are aware and educated about the need to reduce the meat consumptions and the benefits of having more plant-based in their diets. In this region, we're still very conservative, very traditional. People look at improving their health, but unfortunately, they still do not relate it to their food intake, right? We need, larger, in Europe, in the US, governments, NGOs, universities, schools play a big role in educating the population about the health harms of over-consuming meat, like over-consuming anything, and the advantages of consuming more plant-based products. Here we haven't reached that level of awareness, and we haven't reached that level of education. With the new generation, yes, but with the people, with the age groups that are making the purchase decisions today, no. So when I look at mothers and fathers feeding their kids meat every day, and when we ask them, like, why are you feeding your kids meat every day? It's not good for them. It's fat, it's cholesterol, it's hormones and antibiotics, all of that. Have you tried plant-based meat instead? And they're like, what is that? Right? You go to Europe today, nobody tells you what is plant-based meat. Everybody knows it. Whether they consume it or not, everybody knows it. Everybody knows that they shouldn't over-consume meat. And that's not the role of commercial companies like Switch or others. That's the role of a larger government government-led programs about education, awareness, like they did with diabetes, like they do with bread, like they do with all of this.
But you're seeing an uptake of that education happening, and people are more inclined to have your product. Is that correct?
So we see it more today with younger generations again. The older generation is still no. We don't see it. We see it with younger generations, kids, teenagers pushing their parents, their families to purchase our products, right? So we're hoping that once this age group becomes a decision maker, then we will see this uptake. But today, for example, we started seeing it very recently at schools. You know, there's pressure from parents, especially at the international schools, for these catering companies to reduce the meat in their kids' dishes every day, to improve the quality of food served. I mean, school tuition fees are very, very high in the UAE. And today, when you're paying 50, 60, 70, 100,000 dirhams for your kids per year for their education, and then you see that the quality of food that they're feeding them at the canteen is not up to par with what you want to feed your kids, you have a major issue with it. Major issue with it. So we've seen recently, especially this year, some of the catering companies serving schools come to us and say, hey, we want to have protein, but we want to have plant-based protein. We want to have the nutrition and benefits that you find in meat without the negatives of conventional meat, at least for a few days per week or a few meals per week.
How can you prove to those parents that this is actually a good product for their kids?
I don't need to prove it. That's the whole point. The world is talking about it. The Food and Agri Organization is talking about it. The ministers of the UAE are talking about it. The leadership of the UAE is talking about it. Who am I to prove something where today Abu Dhabi have just launched AGWA as part of ADIO to invest heavily in alternative proteins, in meat alternatives. We had Her Excellency Maryam Al-Mehri, the Minister of Climate Change and Environment, talk about the importance of increasing adoption of plant-based foods into diets in the region. Talks about the alternative proteins and the benefits of it. Talks about the harms of overconsumption of meat. So when you have ministers, when you have leaders, when you have policy makers in the government of the UAE, and today the UAE government is a very credible government, right? It looks after its people like no other government does. When they are saying, you know, we are going to invest in alternative protein, we want to reduce our population's meat consumption, we want to provide them a healthier alternative, they're speaking on behalf of me. I'm just providing that product that they are talking about. We just need to make people aware of that, explain to them. Today, when we talk about AGWA, when we talk about alternative protein, a lot of people, the masses don't know it. It hasn't reached them. It's still sitting at an elite level.
So, Edward, are we expecting any expansion plans in the future?
In the near future, obviously, expansion is around our product range. So we're introducing the chicken product range. But we're actually, funny enough, discussing with KEZAD right now potential expansion of our plot in order to go upstream a little bit into extrusion, so more added value, and maybe another production line as well for different ranges. So we're in discussion right now. We're hoping to announce something within the next few months.
How do you see the food industry changing in the UAE?
I think over the next few years, as I said, people are, will shift towards more healthier and sustainable foods. People are becoming more aware of what they eat and the effect of what they eat on their bodies. Again, with education, with the internet, with social media, with the influencers, people are looking to live a healthier, longer, better life. And food is a main topic around this conversation. And Abu Dhabi, if it follows up with its promise to to invest in alternative proteins, in healthier, more sustainable foods that can be produced in this region at a global level. Then we will see more consumer awareness around the health benefits of alternative proteins. And I will see a major shift. I expect to see a major shift towards that direction.
Thank you, Edward, for your time. It's been very interesting getting to know more about your product and also going through the journey with you to see your company grow from its starts to where it is today. And I look forward to seeing your product not just locally or regionally or all around the world.
Thank you so much, Khalid, for having me. I enjoyed the discussion. I hope that I answered your questions and those of your audience to the best that I can, and looking forward to being in touch.
Thank you.
Thank you.
5020 Podcast.